On this episode, we're going to be talking about a new sports sedan from Kia, the new Hyundai Kona, new crash test results from the IIHS, and viewer questions. All coming up next on Talking Cars. Hi, welcome to Talking Cars. I'm Jake Fisher.
I'm Jennifer Stockberger.
I'm Gabe Schenauer.
And I'm actually in the middle seat today, so I'll be actually hosting this. I actually did this once before, a long time ago. It was actually episode number 1.
Whoa.
Do you remember that?
Good times.
Yeah, it was kind of a train wreck. I mean, I think we were all in bell bottoms. I think you had braces at the time. I mean, it was
Wait, I had braces when I was 40, so it couldn't be that way.
Okay, but it was a long time ago. And it was, I think, so good that they waited 128 episodes
To bring you back.
bring me back. So we'll see how this goes. So let's get right to it. Last time we talked about some of the new vehicles that we were driving here at the track, including the Kia Stinger. Gabe, tell us about it and what you thought.
So yeah, the Kia Stinger, it's Kia's attempt to get some street credibility with a true, legitimate sports sedan, rear-wheel drive, lots of power, lots of style, really striking styling. It adapts the configuration of a Tesla Model S or Porsche Panamera with the lift back.
Right, it's got a lift back, not just a normal
gives
four-door.
it, but you can't tell from the outside. It's nicely blended in. But that gives it more versatility, more practicality.
Yeah, and usually you got to go really expensive in some of the German brands in order to get the...
Yeah, like an Audi A5 or a BMW, one of those BMW Gran Turismo that I can't keep track of. Yeah, exactly.
They keep changing the names.
So it drives nicely. I mean, it's quick, especially with a V6 turbo, and handling is nimble. I mean, the ride's a little stiff, but you might accept that.
Right.
What do you think, Jen?
I put the Stinger in this category that I've created for myself called practical power. And I was trying to figure out what that really meant to me. And I think two things. One, the set of rear doors. It's not a coupe. You could have this car, you could drop your kids off at school without unloading the whole family, and it holds stuff. You talked about that lift gate. There's places for it to go. And, first impressions, it seems straightforward. There's not a lot of gimmick in there either, which I kind of appreciated. But that practical power, I used to say, the Chevy SS, even the Civic Type R that we just drove, that rear door makes a huge difference in making it a livable car.
I mean, the weird thing about it is it's Kia, right? I mean, what is Kia today? I mean, is this a company that's having kind of an identity crisis? I mean, what are they? Do they do sports cars? Do they do luxury cars? Are they value? I mean, what do you think Kia is today?
Well, I mean, 20 years ago, they were definitely value, and they came a long way. I mean, this is really like a complete transformation story here. And what they're trying to be, they're trying to be an all-range kind of company, not unlike Toyota or Nissan. So they have sports cars, they have SUVs, and I mean, it's not a new thing that they can make some really capable cars. I mean, the Kia Sorento, the Kia Optima, both were top-rated cars in our testing.
Yeah, actually, if you look at reliability, I was just looking at the numbers. I mean, again, it's like when we look at brands, number 1 is Toyota, then there's, got Toyota and Lexus right at top. Right below there is Kia. I mean, it's kind of like this unsung car company. I mean, would people give this car a chance?
Well, that's what I'm thinking. Do you think that they have a higher burden of proof? Because as a performance car, do you think people are going to say, hey, look at my cool Kia?
Sure. I mean, the public perception always
really
lags
good.
the reality.
Yeah.
And, people, of course, trust brands like Toyota and Honda.
Right.
But it's going to take a little more time for Hyundai and Kia.
Well, and speaking of Hyundai, so, I mean, Hyundai and Kia are kind of similar, the same company, right? I mean, and we had another vehicle from, the new Hyundai Kona.
Yeah.
What do you think, Jen?
Well, first of all, I'm a small SUV person, and that whole compact SUV, and I was, this whole stream of the new ones that are these little SUVs, some of them quite funky. I think it's adorable, first of all. All of those cars are cute.
That's an important rating that we have, the adorability rating.
But I think it makes it appealing, but it doesn't get so funky. It's a little more, like the visibility's much better. It's not so edgy that it's going to alienate some people. I think it'll have broader appeal than, say, the Juke or the CHR or
We
something
see a
like
lot
that.
of cars that are kind of compromised for that
Styling
cuteness,
over function.
Right, you
yeah.
can't see out of the back. We're not seeing so much with that.
Right, and I think the Kona kind of hits the mark. And I was wondering, where's this whole segment come from? I guess it's because what used to be the small got big, and they've now slotted these smaller compact SUVs underneath.
There's a really growing segment of this subcompact SUV.
Yeah, totally. I mean, it used to be non-existent. Nissan Juke was maybe the only one there,
Right,
and then everybody else started flocking into that segment. It was a subcompact SUV. This is like an inexpensive entry, and I agree. I mean, they look cute and everything, but Hyundai seems to really be more prepared for the market. They come in with 2 engines, with front or all-wheel drive, with a nice list of features like head-up display and power seat.
Right, things you
and
don't
all
expect
kinds of
at that price,
things. And unlike the upcoming Nissan Kicks, it's going to be only front-wheel drive. Unlike the Toyota CHR, it's only front-wheel drive and
I don't get that.
and styled too funkily. So I think
they're promising all-wheel drive coming in the future, but
it's
it's not
coming.
here,
Okay.
not here yet.
Right, and a hybrid too, not here yet.
So I mean, I think that's the important thing. It's like you get all these features in this small package. You get the safety features, you get all the advanced stuff. The infotainment system is all very modern, very workable. And it's like for a lot of people, they're kind of like, do I get a used car or do I get a new car? And it's like this is an opportunity to get instead of a used CR-V or a used RAV4. For a low price, you could get yourself in a little SUV.
Not only that, also, I mean, if you're talking new cars, I mean, look at the Hyundai Kona or a Nissan Kicks. Who's going to buy an Elantra or an Accent when you can buy something that's has more versatility and is perceived as a more fashionable kind of thing? And it's perceived as if you got more stuff for your money.
Okay, so that really highlights the difference between what you get in a new car and a used car. And with new cars, you do get all that kind of advanced safety stuff. You get better crash test. And actually brings up something that we heard in the news last week, which was coming from the IIHS, which is the Insurance Institute of Highway Safety. They do a lot of crash tests. I mean, I know a lot of people ask us, like, do we do crash tests here? No, we don't.
Right.
But a
We
lot
actually
of
report their data.
we report their data because a lot of the most important crash tests comes from IIHS.
Yeah.
And what did we learn this? What was their announcement?
So this coveted top safety pick and top safety pick plus designations that they give many, many cars. So each year IIHS kind of ups the ante a little bit more and adds a new criteria. Well, this year, in addition to the big tests like the moderate overlap and the side overlap, they added headlight performance, which kind of falls into the accident avoidance side of things, and this passenger side small overlap. So what happened was, and I did a quick count, in 2017 there was 70 top safety pick pluses and 54 top safety picks. For 2018, there's 15 top safety pick pluses.
So cars are getting less safe, right?
No, and see that's why I'm talking to the audience too and saying it's not that your top safety pick plus that you bought last year and you were so excited because it had that designation all of a sudden got unsafe overnight because the IIHS gave it that it doesn't carry that rating anymore. It's that IIHS's criteria got better. If you bought a 2017 top safety pick plus, you have a super safe car because it did well in all the big stuff. But as they add criteria, they just keep making cars safer and safer. But don't panic if you no longer have a car that's either a top safety pick or a top safety pick plus. And with those numbers, chances are that's happening to many people. You still have a safe car. If you're buying new, now you have that resource to pick the safer option, but your car didn't.
Because they keep on raising the bar.
Right.
It's a really good addition because some manufacturers tended to just concentrate on the driver's side because that's being
what's
tested.
Designing to the
And
test.
not bother with the passenger side, exactly. And they thought they could go scot-free without worrying about the passenger side. Now it's accountable for, and I think that it's a good thing to do.
And there were vehicles that IIHS tested correctly that did very, very well on the driver's side and didn't have any of that extra reinforcement on the passenger side,
but in the
which
end,
probably drove this test.
They just keep on raising the bar. And look, a 1980s Volvo was really safe at the time, but today maybe a just normal small cars are going to be safer than that because, again, they keep on raising that bar.
Right.
So in terms of safety, I mean, another thing that's going on for all of us is we got our first big snowstorm.
we did.
And I think a lot of people across the country got it. I mean, all the way down to Texas.
Alabama, Florida.
I know.
Texas.
People
Do they
got
know
snow
how to
where it doesn't
drive?
snow.
No,
They certainly don't have snow tires.
No.
In Texas, everything shuts down if it's like below 33 degrees.
So we always have a fleet of brand new vehicles, and we're learning new things too as we drive these vehicles. What's going on in our cars? I mean, we heard from a lot of people at the track.
So these advanced safety features all have, a radar or a camera or a sensor, many of them in the grille area under the emblems. As the roads, you don't get all that slushy crap on them. It was coming up and covering the sensors. And the cars, most are good and say, hey, your advanced safety features aren't operating anymore because I can't see, the car can't see. But it's a whole new place that people need to get out there and clean those sensors off. So it might take some studying. You got to know where they are to clean them off. So I would look in owner's manuals. Some are behind the windshield. Those are a little better. But even so, you might leave snow at the top where those cameras are. And if you want that stuff to work, which in the poor weathers when you need it, you might need it the most, you got to make sure those are cleared. And it may take doing it a couple times a trip, that you have to clean them off.
Like, I mean, it's not dissimilar to like when you have the wipers and they get caked up with ice or something like that. But it's like, you got to think about it. You got to clean off those.
Pull over somewhere safe and clean them off.
You can see where they are. Suddenly there's this little blank piece of that there in the grill or something. Like, what is that? Well, it tends to
Plus,
be a
another thing to be aware of is that if the roads aren't completely clear, then these systems can't see lane lines, which they rely on.
Right.
Yeah, absolutely.
So any lane keeping or any of that, relies on seeing the lines.
And of course, the other thing is the most important thing that's going to prevent you from getting in an accident and stopping distances and is grip and with tires. And I know we talk a lot about winter tires, which makes a huge amount of difference, but even just the normal tires, I mean.
Right, you need, two things there. If you don't have the tread depth, you can't clear ice or water or snow out of the way or slush. And the other thing is the biting edges. In a tire, they have all these little cuts, particularly in a winter tire, called sipes. That's what gives you your biting edges. Winter tires have an even a greater advantage in that they have rubber compounds that stay more pliable as the temperatures drop. So they don't get hard like even, some all-season
So even
models
if you don't
do.
have a lot of snow, they're going to be better in the cold.
Right. So even for areas, we talk about areas that have that kind of that brink. They don't really, not Alabama, that's pretty far south. But the Virginias, the Nashville areas, that they do get ice or cold temperatures.
And that's probably the place to remind everyone that even if you have all-wheel drive, don't think you're invincible, because that only helps you get started up. And when it comes to cornering, braking, it's the tires
Everything's
that do
got
the work.
four-wheel brakes. We just said that. We just did some winter
All-wheel drive's not going to
driving.
help you stop. Absolutely. So yeah, that totally makes sense. And if you're looking at, if you think you're going to be buying a set of tires in the next 12 months, probably now is a pretty good time to do it, right? Have that full tread when you're going into the winter.
And we actually say tires, there's a good shopping. You can actually shop tires and get some much better pricing if you have the time. If the snow's already falling and you're in a panic mode, you're at the dealer's mercy.
Don't get it when you need it right now.
You're at the dealer's mercy. So.
All right, so switching gears a little bit, let's talk about a couple of questions. We get lots of questions, a lot of times in our YouTube audience, they're asking us things. So let's answer some of them. First one. I watch every show of Talking Cars as soon as it comes out. Thank you very much. We appreciate that. So more episodes sounds great to me. Sounds good to me too. I would like to hear more from you guys about older vehicles in general. We'd like to talk about older vehicles in general. For example, why is the availability of reliability data cut off after 8 to 10 years? Well, it's actually a good question, but it's something we've actually addressed. So we made some changes on our website. We actually go back to about 16, 17 years. We go back to the year 2000. We've got reliability information. We've got owner satisfaction information. We've got all types. And, well, I know you helped work on this project a lot too, right?
This was a huge summer project for us. And it goes back to 2000, like you said. And in addition to reliability, we also have some information, some road test information from how the car was back then.
So if you're looking at a 2002 Camry, you get pretty much the same information as if you were looking at a brand new one. It's all there. Here's another question. Great episode. Well, they were talking about last week, which I wasn't hosting. We had a better host. I get it. Since you guys always focus on safety, I was wondering if in a future episode you could talk a little bit about how, on most new cars, emergency brake levers are being replaced by park buttons. A real travesty, in my opinion. Well, that's actually a good thing. We have noticed that. So it used to be kind of that big lever where you pull up the emergency brake.
Well, it gets to that emergency brake or parking brake question.
And they're labeled parking brakes.
They're labeled parking
So
brakes.
the question I think what he's getting at is, in an emergency situation, you lose your brakes, can you stop the vehicle if you only have a parking brake? And, well, since we have a track and we could do this in cars, we felt we could try this out. So we actually went out on our track, with our Honda Civic Si, which, on the Civic now, it's replaced the parking brake with a little button. And we pulled it about 40 miles an hour. And lo and behold, it stopped safely.
It still works as an
It
emergency
still
brake.
works. In fact, it probably works better than a traditional emergency brake because it actually, in a very controlled way, stopped the vehicle. And we actually looked in the manual, and in the manual, it actually talks about this. So it says, in an emergency situation, you can use your parking brake as a emergency brake. It doesn't latch, so it's not like you pull it up and it slams on the brakes, but it slowly stops the vehicle. So if you have a vehicle like this, look in your manual, and you'll find that you actually do have an emergency brake.
Let me just add here that electronic parking brakes, they have a potential of actually being very helpful. The advantages are that they take less room. So the electronics and the actuators take less room than all kinds of mechanical linkages and whatnot. So you have more room for storage in the console. Also, there's less effort involved, so they, for arthritic people and whatnot, they can be a great thing. And in addition, safety-wise, you can program them to come on, let's say if you're inadvertently not in park and you're in reverse or drive, you open the door.
Right, they become a fail-safe.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
You can't program it, but some of the car companies.
Exactly.
Right. Yeah.
So this is kind of one of these situations where it's not just change for change's sake. They've actually changed something and
There's a
made
benefit
it
here.
better. Okay, well, that'll about wrap it up. But before we go, I'm going to tell you about a little bit what we're doing next week. And we're going to be talking about owner satisfaction. We've got the latest information from our survey. There's some kind of surprising things there. I think everyone's going to be really shocked when they find out what the worst brand is in terms of owner satisfaction. It's not what you think. And if you could tell us about your satisfaction with your cars, please send in videos. You could go to cr.org/talkingcars and submit a video like our friend Mike Quincy did.
Hey everybody, Talking Cars. I'm hoping this message gets to you. I'm thinking about maybe buying this Subaru over here, or maybe this Hyundai. I can't really decide. I hope this message gets to you. Maybe even that handsome guy, Mike Quincy, in Talking Cars. Anyway, love your show. Thanks.
And if you want to know anything more about the cars that we talked about today or anything we talked about today, please check out the show notes below, and that'll do it. See you next time.